Do you actually show your dog that they can trust you every single day? You probably think you do. You feed them, you walk them, you take care of them. And to us, that feels like love. But to a dog, trust isn't built through big actions. It's built through small, repeated signals. The kind you give without even realizing it. And the kind your dog is constantly reading. Because your dog is always asking one silent question. Am I safe with you? Not just physically, emotionally, predictably, consistently. And the answer to that question is shaped by what you do in the smallest moments of the day. These 7 habits take less than a minute each, but when you start doing them consistently, something shifts. Your dog becomes calmer, more responsive, more connected to you. Because now, you're not just taking care of them, you're communicating in a way they instinctively understand. Let's start with the one almost everyone gets wrong. 1. Greet your dog calmly, not excitedly. What's the first thing you do when you see your dog? Most people raise their voice. Hey buddy, who's a good dog? They get loud, fast, excited. And the dog responds instantly, jumping, spinning, losing control. From our perspective, this looks like happiness, but from your dog's nervous system, it's overstimulation. You're taking a calm moment and turning it into a spike of adrenaline. And when this happens every day, your dog starts associating you with excitement instead of safety. Now imagine something different. You walk in, your dog approaches, and instead of amplifying the energy, you slow it down. Soft voice, relaxed body, no sudden movements. You acknowledge them without escalating them. At first, they might still get excited. That's normal. But over time, something changes. They start mirroring you, approaching more calmly, settling faster, staying grounded. Because dogs naturally regulate their energy based on yours. And when your presence consistently lowers their arousal instead of raising it, trust begins to build. Not through excitement, but through stability. The pattern most owners miss. Dogs don't measure trust in moments. They measure it in patterns. If every interaction with you is loud, unpredictable, and high energy, your dog stays in a state of alertness. But if your behavior is calm, consistent, and predictable, your dog begins to relax around you. And relaxation is where trust lives. There's another tiny habit that can completely change how your dog experiences your touch. Most people skip it every single time, and once you see it, you won't be able to ignore it again. 2. Let your dog come to you first. Most owners don't notice how often they initiate contact. You walk past your dog. You reach down and pet them. They're lying on the floor. You touch their head. They come into the room. You immediately engage. From a human perspective, this feels like affection. But in the world of dogs, interaction usually follows a different rule. Approach, pause, invite, contact. Dogs rarely force interaction on each other. They signal first. They allow space. They let the other choose. What happens when you skip this step? When you constantly initiate touch without giving your dog a choice, something subtle happens. Your dog stops being an active participant and becomes passive. They tolerate your touch, but they don't always choose it. That's the difference most people miss. A dog leaning into your hand is connection. A dog staying still while you pet them is tolerance. And those two things feel completely different from your dog's perspective. The 2-second pause that changes everything. The fix is incredibly simple. Before you touch your dog, pause. Just for a second. Hold your hand near them. Let them decide. If they move closer, lean in, or nudge your hand, that's your invitation. That's your dog saying, I'm ready. And when you respect that small moment, your touch becomes something your dog participates in, not something that happens to them. Over time, this builds something powerful. Consent-based trust. Your dog learns, my signals matter. I'm not forced into interaction. I can choose connection. and that changes how they see you. 3. Use your voice as a signal of safety. Have you ever noticed how your dog reacts differently depending on how you speak? Not what you say, how you say it. Dogs don't understand language the way we do. They understand tone, rhythm, energy, and your voice becomes one of the strongest emotional signals in their world. What most people get wrong. People tend to use their voice in extremes, either neutral and distracted, or loud and overly excited. But dogs respond best to something in between: soft, calm, predictable. The science behind it. Studies have shown that dogs can distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's voice. But here's the key detail. They respond more strongly when the voice is slightly higher in pitch and emotionally warm. Not loud, not chaotic, just gentle. Building a safe voice. When you consistently speak to your dog in a calm, steady tone, something starts to happen. Your voice becomes an anchor, a signal that says, nothing is wrong, you're safe, you can relax. Over time, even in stressful situations, your dog will look to you, not for commands, but for emotional guidance. And if your voice is stable, they become stable. A small daily habit. Talk to your dog during normal moments, not just commands, not just excitement. Simple things, soft phrases, calm tone. Even if they don't understand the words, they understand the feeling behind them, and that feeling becomes associated with you. But there's another behavior that builds trust even faster, and it has nothing to do with talking or touching. In fact, it works best when you do absolutely nothing at all. 4. Spend time near your dog without engaging. What if one of the most powerful ways to build trust with your dog was doing absolutely nothing? Most people think bonding requires action, petting, playing, talking. But in the animal world, trust is often built in stillness. The concept of shared space. When dogs trust each other, they don't constantly interact. They rest near each other. They exist in the same space without pressure. This is called social resting, and it's one of the clearest signs of safety in animal behavior, because animals only relax near individuals they trust. What humans usually do. When we sit near our dogs, we almost always initiate something. We reach out. We call their name. We try to create a moment. But constant interaction can feel like pressure, especially for dogs that are sensitive or easily overstimulated. Try this instead. Sit near your dog, on the couch, on the floor, in the same room, and do nothing. No eye contact, no reaching, no expectation. Just be present. What you'll start to notice. At first, your dog might stay where they are, but over time, they begin to move closer, not because you asked, because they chose to. They might lie near your feet, rest beside you, fall asleep in the same space. That choice is powerful, because in the world of dogs, choosing proximity is trust. 5. Respect their rest. This is one of the most overlooked habits and one of the most important. Dogs sleep 12 to 16 hours a day, not because they're lazy, but because sleep is how they regulate their entire nervous system. What most owners do. They see their dog sleeping and they interrupt it. They pet them. They call their name. They pick them up. Because the dog looks cute, peaceful, irresistible. What your dog experiences. When a dog is in deep rest, their body is completely relaxed. Their guard is down. They feel safe enough to disengage from the environment. And when that state is interrupted suddenly, their nervous system spikes, even if they don't react visibly. Over time, repeated interruptions can create subtle stress. Dogs may start choosing harder-to-reach sleeping spots, more hidden places, not because they're distant, but because they're protecting their rest. The simple habit. When your dog is sleeping, walk past them. Let them rest. Respect that moment. Because every time you allow your dog to sleep undisturbed, you're reinforcing something important. This is a safe place to relax, and safety is the foundation of trust. 6. Let your dog win small moments. Trust isn't just built through calm, it's also built through fairness. And one of the simplest ways to create that feeling is during play. The mistake most people make. During games like tug or fetch, owners often control everything. They take the toy. They end the game. They decide every outcome. From a human perspective, this feels normal. But from a dog's perspective, the game never feels complete. Why winning matters. Dogs have natural behavioral sequences: chase, grab, possess. That final step, possession, creates satisfaction, completion. If your dog never gets that moment, the brain stays in anticipation, and anticipation without completion leads to frustration. A small shift. During play, occasionally let your dog win. Let them keep the toy for a few seconds. Let them hold it, shake it, settle with it. That moment creates balance. The game becomes cooperative, not competitive. Dogs that experience fair play often become more relaxed, more responsive, less possessive, because they trust the interaction. There's one final habit, and it might be the simplest of all, but it's also the one that ties everything together. 7. Lower yourself to their level. Think about how your dog sees you. You're always above them, standing, walking toward them, leaning over them. Even your affection usually comes from above. And while dogs adapt to this, it still creates a natural imbalance, because in the animal world, height often signals pressure, dominance, control, uncertainty. What changes when you lower yourself? When you sit or kneel down to your dog's level, something subtle shifts. Your body becomes less imposing, more approachable, more equal, and dogs feel that immediately. That's why many dogs behave differently when you're on the floor. They approach more calmly, show softer body language, stay closer for longer, become more affectionate. Not because you changed who you are, but because you changed how you're perceived. The hidden signal. Posture is a language dogs understand instinctively. Standing tall can feel like pressure. Lowering yourself feels like openness. And when you consistently meet your dog at their level, you send a clear message: I'm safe to be around. Not just when things are exciting, but when nothing is happening. Why this matters more than you think. Trust isn't built in big moments. It's built in repeated, quiet signals. The way you greet them, the way you touch them, the way you speak, the way you allow space, the way you respect their needs, and most importantly, the way you make them feel in your presence. The bigger picture. Your dog isn't asking for perfection. They're not analyzing every action, but they are constantly feeling. And over time, those feelings create a pattern that answers their silent question: am I safe with you? When your actions are calm, predictable, respectful, consistent, that answer becomes yes. not just sometimes, but every day. Final thought. These habits are small, almost invisible, but that's exactly why they matter. Because trust for a dog isn't built through effort, it's built through consistency, through the moments that don't seem important, but are felt deeply. And when your dog truly trusts you, you'll notice it, not in excitement, but in calm, in the way they rest near you, in the way they look at you, in the way they choose to stay, even when they don't need anything at all. Because in a dog's world, trust isn't something you ask for, it's something you show every single day.